Welcome, my dear Sagittarius souls, both familiar friends and curious newcomers, to Zodiac Talks Tarot. Today's timeless reading is titled They Are in Hermit Energy and Having Many Realizations. And before we journey into the cards, let me remind you, not every Sagittarius walks the same road, just as not every arrow released from the bow finds the same target. Some of you may hear this and feel as though I've read straight from your diary, while others may shrug and say, "That's not me at all." Both reactions are perfectly valid. Energy is fluid, it shifts, reverses, and dances in ways even the most seasoned astrologer cannot fully predict. What you hear today might reflect your own heart, or it might reveal something about the one you're connected to. In this session, no oracle cards, only tarot. And our focus will be clear: your energy, their feelings and intentions, and most importantly, the lessons the universe is nudging you to learn. Now, Sagittarius, let's talk about the present moment. Your past connection bore the mark of the Knight of Wands, exciting, magnetic, full of passion, yet inconsistent, like a firework that dazzles the night sky, then disappears into smoke. At times this energy felt like freedom, at others like chaos. The Ten of Swords reversed, paired with the Wheel of Fortune, tells us there were karmic lessons wrapped inside that storm, adjustments you were meant to discover through trial and error. In other words, life wasn't punishing you, it was tutoring you, though admittedly, the tuition fee was steep. And then enters the Empress, one of the most powerful cards to grace your reading. She reminds you that you are divinely protected, that this bond may not have been built to last, but rather to teach you the most profound lesson of all, your worth. The Empress does not chase, she attracts. She doesn't run after love as though it were a bus she's late to catch. Instead, she sits in her throne, radiating enough grace that love finds its way to her doorstep. And perhaps here lies the cosmic joke: the universe may have pulled your runner away, not to punish you, but to teach you to be still, to magnetize rather than pursue. For in becoming the magnet, you no longer exhaust yourself chasing what is not ready, and you learn that what is truly meant for you cannot outrun you forever. Sagittarius, you are a seeker by nature, a philosopher in disguise, and a clown when life gets too serious. Remember this: the lesson here isn't that you lost someone, it's that you found yourself, and that discovery is far more valuable than the temporary thrill of any Knight of Wands. Sagittarius, let's linger for a moment on that tug-of-war you've been feeling inside. The cards show us the Two of Swords and the Two of Pentacles, the perfect picture of a mind and heart playing ping-pong with no referee in sight. One day you wake up thinking, "This is my person, no doubt about it." By lunchtime, you're muttering, "Nope, I deserve better." And by dinner, you're just wondering whether a plate of tacos might solve the whole dilemma. That's the Sagittarius spirit, humor in the middle of heartbreak, turning cosmic lessons into comedy sketches. But beneath the laughter is a deeper truth. The Fool enters your spread not as a clown, but as a guide, pointing toward new beginnings. It could be a rebirth with this person, or it could be something entirely fresh, love that doesn't feel like a gamble, but like a homecoming. What's clear is this: you're standing at a spiritual crossroads, wrestling with cognitive dissonance. Your heart insists soulmate, while your mind flashes red flag and neon lights. That conflict isn't weakness, it's growth, the slow carving of wisdom into your soul. And then, we turn to them. Your person shows up as the Eight of Cups, the card of walking away. Whether they've stepped back from you or from another situation, the result is the same: distance. They are in full hermit mode, cloaked in Virgo's energy, seeking solitude and searching for truth. For some, this signals divorce or separation, as the scales of justice make themselves known. For others, it's about finally facing the shadows they've avoided for years. Either way, they've pressed pause on the external world to confront the internal one. Now, from a psychological lens, withdrawal can be both healing and dangerous, healing if it leads to reflection, dangerous if it becomes an escape hatch. And here's where the Buddhist wisdom slips in: sometimes retreat is not cowardice but preparation. The caterpillar must leave the leaf before it can even dream of being a butterfly. Whether they emerge transformed or simply tired is not yet clear. What is clear, Sagittarius, is that their silence is not about you, it's about the battle they must fight within. Looking back at the past dynamics of this connection, the cards reveal a familiar saga: Five of Cups reversed, the Sun, and the King of Swords. What does this mean in plain language? Old wounds, dragged out into the daylight, leaving no place to hide. The Sun illuminated the scars, while the King of Swords stood cold, rational, and detached, guarding his heart with logic as though emotions were a weakness. And you, Sagittarius, true to your nature and like so many of the chosen ones, did what you often do best: you saw potential. You glimpsed the shimmering horizon of what could be, but forgot to notice whether the horse you were riding had enough water to actually get you there. That's the Sagittarian paradox: eternal optimism, sometimes mixed with a touch of denial. So the relationship became a carousel ride of on-again, off-again cycles, grand promises of change that wilted before they could bloom. Psychology calls it cognitive dissonance, I call it the heart's stubborn hope refusing to listen to reason. Now, let's talk about the blockages, because this is where the comedy of cosmic errors really takes the stage. The Knight of Wands and the Nine of Wands tell us everything we need to know: hot one minute, cold the next, defensive like a teenager caught sneaking out after curfew. Add the Magician, and suddenly we have manipulation illusions spun so carefully you almost believed them. And then, the Queen of Cups enters, representing you, pouring love and devotion into a cup that seemed to have no bottom. You gave, they deflected. You nurtured, they resisted. You tried to heal, they insisted they were just fine, even while standing knee-deep in their own chaos. It's the universe's oldest practical joke: you can't rescue someone who mistakes drowning for swimming. From a Buddhist perspective, this was karma playing teacher. You were invited to learn the art of balance, compassion without self-sacrifice, love without martyrdom. The novelist in me can't help but frame it as a tragicomedy, one of those stories where the heroine keeps hoping the wandering knight will grow into a king, but instead he keeps misplacing his crown. And yet, hidden inside this frustration is your greatest treasure: the wisdom to recognize imbalance when you see it, and the courage to finally say, I deserve better. Because, Sagittarius, sometimes the lesson isn't about saving them, it's about saving yourself. When we turn the cards toward your feelings, Sagittarius, the Six of Cups, Judgment, and the Moon rise to the surface like familiar ghosts. The Six of Cups reminds us of that soul bond you feel, whether you call it a soulmate, a karmic contract, or simply the universe's way of tying two souls together for a lesson that couldn't be skipped. But then Judgment appears, and here's where the psychology kicks in: it's the reckoning. You've been forced to ask yourself, am I investing in love, or in the idea of love? Am I nurturing a partner, or merely an illusion? That question is brutal but necessary. And then the Moon floats in, cloaked in shadows and uncertainty, whispering that not all is what it seems. You sense the bond, yes, but you also sense the fog. It's that maddening place where intuition says one thing, logic says another, and your heart keeps changing its vote depending on the day of the week. Yet, here's the deeper spiritual angle. This person awakened your divine feminine energy, the Empress inside you, who does not chase but attracts, who does not beg but receives. In Buddhist thought, we are often taught that suffering is the great teacher. Sometimes the ones who wound us most deeply are the very ones who point us toward enlightenment. They are the sandpaper on the rough edges of our soul, polishing us into clarity. And you, Sagittarius, with your eternal optimism, have learned that not every wound is meant to destroy, some are meant to awaken. Now, as for their feelings, oh, the irony. They pulled the page of coins reversed. Translation, they feel they fumbled the bag. They missed their chance. Only now, staring into the emptiness, do they realize what they had. The Ace of Coins shows they finally see the potential for stability, for something solid. The Hanged Man tells us they're pausing, gaining perspective, perhaps for the first time in years. And the Ace of Wands burns through, suggesting the desire to act, to reignite what they let slip. But here's the twist of fate, they finally recognize your compassion, your tenderness, your unshakable love. The Queen of Cups only after they lost it. It's almost comical, in a tragic sort of way. Like a character in a novel who spends half the story ignoring the treasure in their backyard, only to dig for gold in the wrong field and come back, muddy and broke, realizing what they left behind. That's the irony of this connection, Sagittarius, they see your worth most clearly in your absence. And that, my friends, is the kind of lesson that belongs in both psychology textbooks and spiritual scriptures. When we look at their intentions, the story becomes almost poetic. The Ace of Cups and the Wheel of Fortune suggest a longing for renewal, a decisive shift in the script they've been stuck repeating. It's as if their soul is whispering, enough of the reruns, let's film something new. The Two of Wands shows they know this requires stepping out of their comfort zone, trading the well-worn path of avoidance for the unfamiliar terrain of vulnerability. And then we see the star, glowing with the promise of healing. They are beginning to glimpse the light, but as any student of human psychology knows, seeing the light and walking into it are two very different things. It's one thing to notice the exit sign, it's another to actually leave the burning building. In the next 4 weeks, don't expect fireworks. The Nine of Coins paints a picture of independence, two people polishing their own armor, tending their own gardens, sharpening their arrows alone. The Queen of Swords reinforces this with her cool wisdom, boundaries, clarity, self-respect. Translation? You're both in your own tents, thinking, journaling, maybe watching too much Netflix, but not reaching across the divide. But by the 5 to 8 week mark, the tide turns. The Three of Swords reversed signals forgiveness, old wounds softening, and the Knight of Cups rides in with a romantic offer, roses in hand and perhaps a sheepish grin. This isn't just coincidence. In the year of triumph 2025, it feels karmic, like the universe offering a second draft after the first was scribbled with errors. Will it be perfect? No. But will it be a turning point? Very likely. And if nothing else, Sagittarius, at least you'll get a good story out of it, the kind you'll tell with a smirk years from now, when you say, remember when they finally came back, just after I stopped waiting. Sagittarius, the advice here is as simple as it is profound. The Five of Wands reversed signals the easing of conflict, whether that conflict was with them, within you, or both. This is the universe reminding you that peace is not found by winning every argument, but by realizing you no longer need to fight. Compromise, resolution, and harmony are within reach, but the key lies in letting go of comparison. Do not measure yourself against anyone else who may orbit their world. The only competition you truly face is the version of yourself you were yesterday. Light your own torch, keep walking your own path, and trust that progress, however small, is still progress. Now, let's peek into the whispers from their higher self. They confess, I'm too afraid to talk. Fear, not indifference, has tied their tongue. They murmur, love is the answer, as though repeating it often enough might make it true. Then comes hesitation cloaked in vulnerability, I need more time, please give me time, I've never felt this way before. And finally, they stand by the promise they once made, they did mean it when they said they wanted to work it out, as seen in the Three of Pentacles. But whether that intention grows into action, that's the million-dollar question, and one the cards leave open. So, Sagittarius, you stand now at a divine threshold. Your person retreats inward, but you are discovering that your worth never required their validation. You are one of the chosen ones, and in this year of triumph 2025, your truest lesson is to heal yourself, to laugh at the absurdity of love's chaos, and to enjoy this wild adventure called life. Chase joy, not approval. And before you wander off with that archer's grin, remember to like, share, and subscribe to Zodiac Talks Tarot. After all, wisdom is best enjoyed when it's shared.